I'll read out the notice of motion first before I speak to it. I'm pleased to propose it, and I'm glad that Councillor Warmington, as another county councillor for the town, is seconding it. It starts off, following the positive statement issued by Herefordshire Council, councillors are asked to echo and amplify this act of community leadership by making a clear collective commitment to encourage tolerance and openness. And to this end, I call upon this council to resolve that this council wishes to state unequivocally that Ledbury welcomes people from all walks of life and will continue to do so. We want Ledbury to be known as a place for being diverse and tolerant community. Unkind speech and acts of prejudice have no place in our parish. This council continues to promote and celebrate difference, and we condemn all forms of racism, xenophobia and hate crime. We encourage respect for one another in all that we say and do, and wish to reassure all people visiting and living in this area that they are welcome and valued members of our community. Now, with the change of the word parish for our parish to replace the words our county, these words are identical to the notice of motion that was debated in July at county level and passed unanimously. I'm sorry that Councillor Holton isn't with us anymore, because she, along with Councillor Warmington and I and every other member of Herefordshire Council, voted to support this as a statement back in July. And many of the county councillors who are also parish councillors have taken this as a notice of motion back to their parishes in the county, and many councils across the country have debated and supported similar notices of motion over the summer. We've heard in the public participation section this evening that although this is hate speech and unkind acts are not things that the majority of people in Ledbury experience, and for many people they question whether this is something that is needing to be said. And yet we have heard that for a few people in our community, this is an experience that they have not on a daily basis, but it is an experience that is real for them. So this was quite carefully worded when it was put together at county level, and it was supported by all of the group leaders of all the political parties in putting it forward jointly. I'm very pleased to be bringing it here today, and the words of this notice of motion are identical to the words that were proposed in July. There is no difference to what we are talking about here now. So I'd like to assure members of the public of that. On the 8th of October through to the 15th of October, there is a national anti-hate speech week that has been established, which the police and Amnesty International and a lot of other groups across the country are encouraging councils and councillors to be aware of and to promote within their communities in whatever way is deemed appropriate for that community. Councillors who receive the National Association of Local Councils magazine will see that in the magazine this month there is a full-page article encouraging councils and councillors to think about how their councils currently support and encourage welcome in their community to people of all races and from all places. And we have examples in our community here where we do offer a welcome in many different languages. Bill the Bell, when he welcomes people on the coaches that come and visit the town, has developed a wide range of welcomes in many different languages, and he's very proud of being able to welcome so many people from so many different countries to Ledbury in their own language. And I think that's a fantastic example of just one way in which there is somebody in our community who's already doing that, and doing that on behalf of the town. But I think this is something that, as a town council, we can follow and join the other councils in the county and across the country in supporting this as a statement of intent. And what we're talking about here is encouraging tolerance and openness. We can't make people do it, but we can encourage it. We can make a statement that sends the right messages to our community, and maybe we can think about how, in the things that we do, whether it's through our pact meetings or whether it's through the ways in which we take the values project forward, how we support Bill, how we might support the guides in the painted rooms to be able to welcome people in other languages.
Can we just move it on a little bit, because we're running out of time?
Right, okay. Fine, well, I'll leave it there then, shall I? And open it up to the debate.
What's being proposed in this notice of motion would not cost the council anything in terms of money or time, you may debate how much good it's going to do. You may debate how serious of a problem racism is in Ledbury. We've heard a few examples. They could be representative, they could not be. But my question to critics of this notice of motion would simply be, what's the harm? What possible harm could come from simply stating this, whether racism is a serious problem or not? It costs us nothing, and I see no conceivable harm that could come from making this very unobjectionable statement.
Any other comments?
Yeah, Madam Chairman, when I declared an interest, I made my views on this notice of motion known. I consider it a political statement. But I would also like to say that, in my opinion, the phrase actions speak louder than words also applies when it comes to creating a welcoming, tolerant community, as witnessed throughout the town's history, back from the Turnpike riots all the way through to the present day. Unfortunately, the actions of the proposer over the last 3 years do not match the sentiments made in the statement. A relentless campaign of intimidation, bullying and hatred.
Point of order. This has nothing to do with this notice of motion. This is point of order. This is just petty point scoring.
An example of tolerance.
It's not to do with this notice of motion at all.
To renounce her actions,
this motion was done at Hereford Council.
You're not political, are you, Bob?
Then I would consider supporting it. That is extremely unlikely. Presented by her, this motion is the epitome of hypocrisy, and I will not vote for it.
Point scoring.
And you can put that on Facebook if you like.
Well, whatever you will.
I've been thinking very carefully about this one as well. I have similar views as Councillor Barnes, but also the comments and emails and letters that's been going around this town about this motion, and the threats. If we don't support this motion, we're going to be called racist. Well, I'm not happy about supporting this motion. I can't be called racist. I'm out a black African, I've got a coloured child, I've got a sister-in-law who's Japanese, and I've got a Lithuanian who has to look after all here. I mean, I'm as non-racist as you can be, and I think that other councillors are in the same boat as well. And I agree completely with Councillor Barnes. This is a political statement. This council wishes to say that Ledbury welcomes. I don't see how we can Ledbury welcome. We don't know Ledbury welcomes. There hasn't been a referendum. There hasn't been a vote. 100% of the people of Ledbury haven't said we welcome. I don't see how we can make that call. I feel very, very uncomfortable in supporting it. And I won't vote against it. I should probably abstain.
I'll just make a simple point. This is not a message to the town of Ledbury or to the councillors. This is meant to be a message from the town of Ledbury. And I don't see how it can be political when, apart from one word, it's exactly the same as a motion that was passed at Hereford Council. And motions have also been passed at Kington and Leinster and Malvern. The one at Leinster, I know, was unanimous. And I'm really, really upset that I'm going to have to ask for a name vote, because I don't believe in name votes. But in this case, I don't want a name vote because I want to know who voted against it. But I want people to know that I voted for it. I'm really upset about that.
I don't know the outcome.
I do.
I agree. I agonised about this. And I'm going to vote for it, but only because I agree with the sentiment and principle of it. I do think this was put on our agenda as a political thing. I also think the authors have put it on our agenda. It's rank hypocrisy, as they hold most of the councillors, if not all of the councillors here, and the town council and the staff in contempt. I've seen some of the emails and things, heard some of the things that have been said by these people. I had somebody sent me an email after I got my computer back on yesterday, and it says, this statement says, amongst other things, you have to excuse me reading it out of my book, I haven't got a printed word at the moment. This council continues to promote and celebrate difference. I'd like to ask how the council has promoted and celebrated difference. Another constituent has already questioned what in fact the council has done and had asked for examples. If the council haven't actually done any promotion or celebrations of difference as a council, how can we show examples to the electorate? Then if we vote on this, we'll be voting on a lie. Because as a council, I can't remember us actually doing anything to promote or celebrate. I do know that the Mayor has been to various community functions, same as we all did when we were mayors. But that's a councillor rather than the council as a whole. I also feel unhappy with the fact that Hereford, in its wisdom, some time ago, split the town into wards. So I don't feel I can actually speak for the whole town. And, you know, and if you look at social media, there's quite a few people saying things on there. But I'll reiterate, I do totally agree with the essence of the thing, and I shall vote for it.
I'd just like to say, we sign up as individual councillors to the Code of Conduct, and we also sign up as a council, and we are expected to observe the principles of the Code, that is selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and to treat others with respect and courtesy and not to bully anyone. It goes without saying that I agree with the sentiments of this nun. Having 2 half Indian kids myself, and having for years helped Neville Meredith in the fight against racism and been racially abused myself, and more so my son. So I am going to vote for this one.
Somebody before me. I've got a lot of mixed feelings about this because in 1997 when I came back from Africa I struggled, and that was because my children, like Martin's and they're a mixed race. And it wasn't a generalisation, it was individuals. And what I found, you had to handle it yourself. You had to go and explain that we're human, you know, we're no different to you. And I don't think this, reading it out, it's going to change the minds of these individuals at all. You can do whatever you like, hatred is in them. Doesn't matter what you say, what you do. And I've experienced it many, many times. But the vast majority look at my kids and they accept them. My oldest son, he played county cricket, he played for Eastnor. He was one of the top 4 footballers in Ledbury for Ledbury Town. So there's lots of good things. But as I say, in principle, obviously, I agree with all this. But in reality, it's not going to change people's minds. Thank you.
Any more comments?
Like everybody else, in principle, I totally agree with this. And I will quite happily put a sign in my shop window as a personal statement that I will not witness racism and not act to protect anybody's right to walk down any street. This has caused me some concern as well, because the resigned councillor, Matt Ness, wrote a lovely letter in the Hereford Times in which she accused this council, which means all of us, of being racist, which I think is an awful statement. And I take that very, very personally, because I can put my hand on my heart and say, I have not got a racist bone in my body. I was deciding whether not to vote, whether to abstain, whether to vote with it. I couldn't vote against it because that's against the principle that I agree with, because I think the principle is really good. I think Ledbury is a great town. I have not witnessed people being racially abused, although people here have said that they have heard it. I don't think it sends out a very good message about Ledbury. If we put out statements like this, people will assume that there's a major problem in Ledbury, which there isn't. But again, I agree with the sentiments within it, so I'm a bit torn. So on this one, and I don't agree with abstaining either, I usually vote one way or the other and say why I'm doing it, but on this occasion, I will abstain.
Any more comments?
As seconder, I'd like to finish, so if there's anyone else, I'll wait.
Is there
Otherwise,
any
I'll
more
go now.
comments?
Excuse me from standing. I am voting to support the sentiments in this motion, as I feel that I have always been considerate to others with regard to equality and diversity. I will support this motion, as is my individual right, but I am not supporting it on behalf of the townspeople, as I haven't been given that mandate. It is a pity that it was proposed by someone who has no respect for her fellow councillors and has done little to promote unity and harmony and a good working relationship within this council.
I again have to say that I agree with the premise I will be voting for it, but that, again, I'm speaking for myself, and I will promote it myself, that I cannot speak on behalf of other people. It's not my job to speak on behalf of other people, unless they come to me and ask them to speak for them.
Any other comments?
Just like to say, if there isn't a unanimous vote for this notice of motion, it will bring the council into disrepute.
I strongly object to that statement.
Councillor Warmington?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. There's been a lot of misconceptions about what this motion is for, both on social media and I'm afraid here tonight. The main one being that it's somehow political, or a publicity stunt. No, it isn't. This, as has already been explained before, is an identical motion to that adopted unanimously by that well-known hive of lefties, Herefordshire Council, in July. Indeed, the fact that it is identically worded is one reason why it is debatably clumsy in its wording at times, because it was meant to be applying to the whole county rather than just as a town. It has been passed, this motion has been passed also by Hereford Town Council, Kington, Leominster, Malvern, others to come. I don't suppose that they agonised over whether that passing a motion like this would cause people to wonder if they had a serious racism problem. They would have understood. They're making a statement on behalf of their towns. A lot of people have said over, we don't have a mandate to speak on behalf of the town. Yes, we do. We're the town council. We are elected to the town council, and we are meant to show leadership. It might be a very abstract thing, this motion, and I agree, of course, if determined haters and racists are not going to be put off doing anything or thinking anything because we tell them otherwise. But it is for us to show leadership on this issue, to put out a positive message out there to the people of Ledbury and to those who have been affected, as we have seen in examples quoted from the public this evening of where this does happen. This is not to say that Ledbury is a racist town. It's not. I personally haven't seen instances of it. But to say that because I haven't seen it, it doesn't exist, is the height of complacency, in my humble opinion.
No one said that.
Yes,
Mrs. White said that. She very much said that.
You're not a member of the council.
There is enough anecdotal evidence to suggest that there is some racism in Ledbury. It would be very surprising if there wasn't. There's 9,000 people here. And so it does, as Councillor Eakin said, it does no harm and potentially does some good for us to make this stance. For that reason, the arguments that have been posed against or for abstentions are essentially arguments against having this debate. We've been told this is such a wonderful place, this doesn't need saying. But we have evidence that it does need saying, and it is for us, as the town council, to stand up and say it. I take the points about the code of conduct that we sign up to, but that was also used last time to prevent this motion getting onto the agenda. It goes beyond us as councillors, and it is about us as leaders of the whole town. And for the record, I do not hold the staff or other councillors in contempt. If I want to express that individually to people, I will. But I do not think that, and I think I can speak for Councillor Harvey to say that she doesn't either. This is about this motion. It should not be personalised by taking on other issues related to those who propose it. It is not political. It has been passed by several other councillors, and we need to stand up and take on our role as leaders of this town and pass it.
Some have had more than one say, Chair, but I'll listen to your decision.
We've had the closing.
Okay.
Councillor Harvey, do you want to?
Yes, thank you. I'll be brief, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the comments that councillors have made on this in support of it. I will refrain from responding to the personal remarks that have been made during the debate. This is not the place for that. I hope the majority of councillors here today will support this as a statement of community leadership on behalf of the town, and I commend the motion to you.
So moving on to vote.
Shall I just go around the table?
Yeah.
Councillor Eakin.
I support the sentiments of the proposal, but I cannot support the proposal. No, I'm going to vote against.
Councillor Bradford.
I'm abstaining.
Councillor Jayne Roberts.
For.
Councillor Noel Roberts.
For.
Councillor Morris.
For.
Councillor Eakin.
Or
Councillor Yeoman.
For.
Councillor Francis. Councillor Harrison.
For.
Councillor Warmington.
For.
Councillor Harvey.
For.
Councillor Crowe. Councillor Barnes.
I'm casting the vote.
Is that an abstain?
Councillor Fieldhouse.
Sorry, I didn't get the last two votes, sorry. 4 and 4.
One off the screen.
The vote is
Yes, I know
carried.
that.
That was a check.
The vote is carried. 10 for, 1 against, 2 abstentions. Councillor Barnes did not cast a vote.
I have a question. Something I think it was Councillor Harvey, maybe Councillor Warmington, said that this is not the place to answer.
Oh, sorry, it was 11 for, I beg your pardon.
This is not.
Got that
This is
wrong.
not the place to answer personal comments. I was just wondering what place is.
Yeah.
Is it the Ledbury, what is it, Ledbury, Voice of Ledbury, or the internet, or which is the usual way that these things are done?
This is a debate on this motion.
Sorry, I'm mindful
I
of
have
the
nothing
time.
else to
Can we
say.
please move on? Due to the time, I'm going to adjourn items 13, 14, 15 and 16 to another meeting. Defer them, sorry.
Good thinking.
Item 17, date of the next meeting. The next meeting is scheduled to be held on the 3rd of November. In the event of a contested election to fill the vacancy in the North Ward, Herefordshire Council have requested to use the community hall for use as the polling station on the 3rd of November. We are trying to find alternative venues, but most have already been booked, so it's most likely to be held at the Market House. If there is anyone wanting to raise any issues relating to any of the private minutes in item 18, the standing committee, then we are going to have to go into private session. Is there anyone wishing to raise any issues?
Sorry, I don't really understand that. I haven't seen the private minutes. Are these the confidential minutes or the private minutes?
We've got the minutes, but the items that we dealt with in private session, if there's to be any discussion on those, you're going to have to go back into private session to discuss them.
Possibly.
as I am not on the standing committee and thus would have nothing meaningful to contribute here, I'll bid you all good night.
Good night.
Night.
That under the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, the public and the representatives of the press and broadcast media be excluded from the meeting during the consideration of the following items of business. as publicity